The next piece of advice to give is how to figure out how to pay my bills.
Okay. When did you
this
guys
sounds like we should
figure
have a
that out?
sponsor read for this one. Thanks to X Service.
I don't know if I have figured that out yet.
I still haven't figured that out.
Okay. When you are becoming an adult, that will be the easiest time in your life to pay bills. That's when you have you've got like 3 things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe you got a Netflix subscription on top of it. It's when I've gotten older and older, I'm like, I have what tax I got to pay for? There's what? I have residence tax? What the fuck is that?
When I first moved to Japan, and I was a lot smaller YouTuber, the only thing I had to worry about was, okay, so there's the rent, there's electricity, there's gas, there's water, and there's internet. Easy. I can pay all of those. I get the slip in the mail. I pay it at the konbini. But nowadays, I'm just like, I ask my accountant, I'm like, so how many bills do I have to pay? She just gives you like a fucking stack.
Yeah, it is.
It's just like all of these. And I was like, I don't even know what half of these are.
It does feel like at the moment you become like 21, 22, you suddenly just start losing like $100 a week on something. You're just like, what did I lose? Like, I swear I wasn't going to spend this money, but it's just gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I was like, working my job, I was like, so many videos being like, you should budget out your expenses. And I was always that guy who was like, I don't need to fucking budget out my expenses. I know what my expenses are. I know what my bills are.
Yeah.
And then as like you get to the end of month where you look at your bank account and you're like, how the fuck is it that number? What the fuck did I spend money on?
It's like, what are all these transactions that I don't remember paying for?
I have no idea how much money I make or how much tax I've paid. I have no idea.
Well, yeah, I have an accountant for a reason.
Yeah, I have no idea. I'm like, is it bad? He's like, it's bad. I'm like, fuck. I have no idea.
The only question I ask my accountant is, am I broke yet? And they're like, no. And I was like, cool.
Well, I think there's a difference for someone like us because in our position where we are technically freelancers who have a lot of different sources of revenue. But, when most people working a contracted job will have a certain amount of income coming in, and it's those expenses that can really, really creep up on you. And I'll be honest, I don't know what the best advice for this is because everyone I've talked to is just like, I hope I'm paying my bills or most importantly, submitting my taxes the right way. I don't even know if I am. I didn't know if I was. I didn't know if I was.
You're not in jail, so I think you're doing all right.
Yeah, I did my taxes myself in the UK.
Yeah, same here. I did my taxes myself
because I spoke to an accountant, right? And I went to a meeting with an accountant, and he was in this really nice office. And it was all really fancy, and I was like 20.
Yeah,
and I felt very out of my depth. And at this time, I was still kind of at that age where I didn't really trust people.
Sure.
Yeah.
Especially people in suits.
Especially with your money as well.
My money and people in suits telling me I should be spending my money this way, and I'm just there like.
Yeah.
And in this meeting, he said one thing that really like stuck with me. He goes, so we can do taxes in different ways, but you can also do it yourself with the money in, money out. I was like, what? He's like, yeah, at the end of the year, you could just type in, for example, like how much money you made versus how much that went out. Right. I was like, oh, I'll just do that. Right. I was like, no, you shouldn't do that. You should do it with us so we can do it. And I was like, no, I'm good. So I just did it that way for like 3 years. But that was back when I was making like there was like I was just the YouTube check-in, rent and other stuff or whatever it was.
Yeah. Expenses out. Yeah.
Not rent, sorry.
Yeah.
Whatever it was out, which was barely anything back then.
Yeah.
So it was like my editing software, a new microphone.
Yeah.
This is really easy to file these taxes. Taxes are so easy. Why is everyone complaining? And now I'm like, oh God.
No, totally.
Yeah, I also did the same thing, but I don't know. I don't remember how I learned it because you just go through the forms.
A lot of guides. The
guides did fuck all because you would click on like, oh, what does this term mean? And you'd get like a 3-page article of what that term means. And you're like, does this apply to me? I don't know if it applies to me or not.
I got really lucky because my mom's job for like the past 20 years is bookkeeping.
Yeah.
So she just taught me everything. She was like, all right, this is how you file everything. This is how you load up your expenses. This is how you do all the taxes and stuff.
I never paid expenses, barely, like any, for like the first like 2 years.
Oh, me neither.
I'm an idiot.
Yeah.
I'm like, I lost so much money.
I didn't even know that was a thing you could do.
Yeah.
I'm like, what does tax return mean? Like, what the fuck is that? I never got taught this shit.
Yeah, this shit is complicated. I remember in university as well, I used to have a spreadsheet where I kept every single spending I had.
Really?
Yeah, to like the penny. And I would keep track of it all. And it was actually very helpful.
I was too broke to care.
I didn't have a lot of money at all, but it made me feel like I almost had more money when I could kind of felt like I was controlling it, even though I was probably going to spend the same amount no matter what.
Yeah.
But it did feel like when I had to input how much I spent into the thing, maybe second guess, maybe dumb purchases.
Wait, so can I be doubly sure? What is a tax return?
You're asking the wrong person, brother.
Well, I think
is it the form that you send back to tell them how much tax you owe?
no,
Okay.
I thought tax returns were if you've overpaid.
Okay.
And you've like filed like
What is a tax return?
Because
a lot of the way accounting is a lot of
a tax return is the completion of documentation that calculates an entity or individual's income earned and the amount of taxes to be paid to the government.
So that is just the tax document you filed.
Sorry.
Yeah, because I thought for the longest time, I thought that thing where a tax return was, I'd heard these, urban legends that sometimes the tax man gets it wrong and you get some money back. And
Well, no, normally you just, because a lot of at least how the UK and Japan works, you pay the projected income you're going to make.
Yeah.
Right. So then it always gets adjusted based on what you're making.
Yeah.
If it's your freelance, it's freelance only. So the UK, they would always adjust it. But you'd have to like pay a fuck ton the first time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For like advance.
Yeah.
Because the first time in Japan, I had to pay like 2 years worth of tax, like up front. I think near the end of the first year or something. It was crazy. It was a lot.
Right.
It really says a lot. We're all in our 30s or around our 30s and we just learned what a tax return was.
Well, so I wanted to doubly make sure because I remember this because when I started in the working world, right? So when you get a salary,
this is a very American word though. I didn't hear this a lot in the UK, but
I heard it in the UK.
You did?
Because I still did YouTube on the side, even though I was working at the BBC.
Okay.
So I was told, you have to do your tax return. So me being a dumb motherfucker, being like looking at my bank account every month, waiting for some money to come in for that month, and I would get notifications, and I'm like, "What are you talking about? I haven't gotten my tax return yet." And then it was like the final month that I had to submit this tax return document because you have to like, even though I got like a salaried amount because I had like a side thing, I would have to do the tax return for that side
Separately,
gig
right.
separately. So I didn't know that. So I was just like me being a dumbass, waiting every month and looking at my bank account to see if it would go up for like,
come on,
this glorified tax return. And I was just like, why is this not coming? Yeah. I almost just missed the date of the tax return because I didn't fucking know what it was.
Yeah.
Every single person who has been doing taxes will just tell you, just get a fucking accountant. They'll save you money.
That's
and sanity, most of.
Yeah.
But I was fucking broke, so I couldn't afford one.
Yeah, I think that's the problem, Connor.
Yeah, I was broke. Well, that was when I first started my business, when I was barely making enough to make rent.
Yeah.
But also, accountants often pay for themselves, so
yeah,
you should definitely get an accountant.
Yep, just get an accountant. Don't worry about
it's also
it.
the thing you don't want to fuck up.
What?
Taxes.
Oh yeah,
it's
of
the
course.
one thing you don't want to.
You go to jail otherwise.
Yeah,
definitely.
Exactly.
Have you ever met a YouTuber who's been audited?
No,
I've met a YouTuber who's been audited.
Really?
Oh shit.
Yeah, because he told me he was doing something fucking stupid.
Yeah.
Not paying their taxes.
There has been
I've known a YouTuber that's been audited.
I know
Really?
a YouTuber's been audited. I know a YouTuber who's been done for, I won't say who. I think it's publicly, but I'm pretty sure there's a YouTuber or two that have been done for not paying their taxes.
Well, like tax fraud.
Not fraud.
No,
they were
it's
like, I
literally,
didn't know I had to pay taxes.
It is literally most now that I think about it, I know
there are a shocking amount of YouTubers who are mainly new ones who didn't realize they had to pay taxes on it.
Yeah. And didn't realize you had to file a tax return because you're self-employed.
Yeah,
they don't know what the fucking I
Just goes to show how badly educated generally we are on taxes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So
it took me half a year to realize I had to pay taxes. But I paid it at the end of the year. But I remember asking my dad, I was like, I earned like £500. Do I have to pay taxes on that? He was like, yeah. I was like, oh. He's like, you won't get taxed anything. We have to file it.
Yeah,
I was
you
like,
still have to do it. Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, we need more fucking education when it comes to our taxes.
Yeah. But I hear this argument all the time of like, oh, they should, instead of teaching like the Pythagoras theorem in school, they should teach kids about taxes.
A lot of schools actually do teach you about tax. But a lot of people don't fucking pay attention.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think if we had like a curriculum in like high school, for example, of like, this is everything you have to learn about taxes, dude, kids are going to be falling asleep in that class because they just think to themselves like, oh, I'll deal with it when I'm older. And then when they get older, they're like, fuck, I should have listened.
If you live in I don't know about Australia, but in the UK and Europe, if you have a salary job, it's taken out of your salary.
Oh yeah, it is taken out of your salary.
Fucking giga chad.
Yeah, so you don't need to worry about it.
Oh, same in Japan as well. If you work for a company, then all of the taxes and expenses get immediately taken out.
Awesome.
So you don't have to deal with it.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Also, another thing that I think we should be fucking taught as well: mortgages. Like this is the same kind of financial thing where
ain't gonna lie, boys. I still don't know how a mortgage works.
I know how it works, but you throw me some terms and I'm like, what? I don't understand.
So let's get the record straight. What is a mortgage?
A mortgage is a loan. It's a loan,
right?
It's a loan.
Okay, I got that right.
You are asking for money.
Yeah.
Over a long period of time.
Right. Okay.
Yes.
So it's basically like, say for example,
you buy a house, the house is the bank pays for it.
Yeah.
Now you are slowly repaying the bank back at a
with
very
interest,
fair rate.
right?
With interest.
Yeah.
Generally, mortgages.
So it's like a bank loan on a house.
Yeah, it's just a loan, but specifically for a house.
Okay.
And normally there are laws. The government has laws around the interest rates and what they can be because it's in the government's best interest to make sure that this specific type of loan, the mortgage, is generally affordable. Like the idea is that everyone should be able to get one.
Yeah.
Obviously, in practice, that isn't the case. And as we've seen in the 2008 financial crisis, it isn't always managed well.
Yep.
But yeah, it's basically meant to be a pretty good loan, like a fair, very fair loan.
Like a fair loan. Yeah.
Often, like if you go to a bank tomorrow and you're like, I need 100 bands, and the interest rate will be crazy.
Right.
It'll be pretty high unless you're a business. And then you can negotiate a very fair term.
Yeah.
But if you're an individual, you walk in, you're like, I need 50K. They will absolutely destroy you on interest. Same with like credit card. A credit card, you're loaning the money.
Yeah.
They've already paid it for you. Then you pay it back. But the APRs can be like insane.
APR is just like the interest per. What does it stand for again?
I don't know, but I know it's interest. Like, and if you borrow $1,000 and the interest rate, the APR is like 25%, they're gonna absolutely kill you. And
what does APR stand for? Can you look it up?
Yeah, because here's the thing. I feel like conceptually,
annual percentage rate.
I feel like conceptually, it's understandable, but you throw in all of these terms. I remember when I was trying to get myself knowledgeable on mortgages because I was like, maybe I want to buy a house in like, when in like a few years or something.
Yeah.
I should probably get myself knowledgeable about it. I watched like a half an hour, 45-minute video, and I was like, I don't get it. And then I watched like a 5-minute short, like a minute long short, just like without the bullshit kind of like terms and everything. And I was like, oh, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
This is so stupid.
It's just so much term. Like I kind of had a similar thing, when we started up Nonsense. Like obviously I didn't know how the fuck to run a business.
The difference is that it's yearly.
Oh, I see. Yeah, well, annual, yeah.
But
when I was starting up Nonsense, like I had to learn about all of these like fucking business terms and everything, and like my business partner was trying to teach me all this shit, but he's just throwing out all these business terms, and I'm like, slow down. You said about 17 words in that sentence that I don't know. Like I didn't know what the fucking ROI was.
Return of investment.
I found out afterwards. But I didn't know what the fuck it was.
Self-explanatory.
Yeah.
But even then, I was like, I'd never heard of that term, so I had to look it up.
Yeah.
Have you seen the TikTok's financial advice that's just fraud?
Wait, what?
No?
There's so many TikTok financial advice, and they're just fraud. Can you go on YouTube and type in TikTok advice that's fraud? There's so many TikTok advice things that's just straight up fraud. If you type it on YouTube, there should be some compilations of them. Like there's some people who are like borrowing against there's one that was like someone was borrowing thousands of dollars and it was the collateral was their life insurance policy. And they were maxing out the life insurance. I guess.
Coffeezilla did some videos.
There's a ton,
Yeah.
And there was one person that was like, they were like, you should open up a company, get a credit card with the company, max it out, file the company as bankrupt. You don't have to pay any of it back. People are like, dude, that's fraud. Yeah. That's just fraud. What are you talking about?
That's crazy.
There was some people who were like, max out a bunch of credit cards on a business account. And open up Airbnbs. But if you can't get the business account maxed out, like make a fake credit card, credit score or something. And it was like, this is just fraud.
That's fraud.
These people are advertising.
Oh my God.
Them doing fraud.
Not the first time we've seen people just break laws on TikTok and present it as advice.
It's insane.
And
it's like, obviously fraud works if you get away with it. But that's illegal.
Yeah.
It's like going, here's how to make $100. Go to your nearest coffee shop.
Pull out a gun.
All you need is a gun and a ski mask. And then,
well, actually, don't take a gun, because if you get caught, it's armed robbery. And that's actually
true. That's true.
But there was a article that said that most Americans now get most of their financial advice from TikTok.
Oh, that's scary. Please do not do that. Please consult an actual professional for that. That is some actual good advice you can hear from Trash Taste. Consult a professional for your financial tips.
Yes.
Don't go onto fucking TikTok.
Dude,
Jesus
there's so
Christ.
many people that like... It's actually 42%
oh my God,
of Gen
that's
Z.
scary.
Gen Z, sorry.
That's
Gen Z.
scary.
Yeah, I think the reason why is because, you know, investing and all that stuff is typically the most fucking boring shit on earth.
Yeah.
And it's not a sexy thing. It's like, hey, you'll get a bit of interest. It'll compound.
Yeah.
There you go. Like everyone just wants to make the most money possible.
Yeah.
Whereas
no one wants to think 10 years, 20 years ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me included, you know, it's your brain just doesn't work that way, especially if you are, especially if you don't have a lot of money and you want to have a lot of money.
Yeah.
You don't want to wait fucking 10 years.
I don't have the capacity to, you know, think about 10 years when I'm worried about, fuck, am I going to be able to pay rent next month? You know,
exactly.
You're not in that kind of mindset.
Well, I think that's also maybe the reason why some people are in that mindset.
Sure.
They have a lot of money and they see other people on TikTok saying, here's how you easily get rich.
Yeah.
But the problem is if someone is telling you how to get rich, you're too late.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The person telling you is getting rich from telling you and you falling for it.
Yeah.
So.
One thing that fucking, you know, terrifies me is definitely like loans and using money that is not mine.
Yeah.
I know there's like different types of loans.
I didn't have a credit card until like 2 years ago.
Yeah, it's like insane to me. The more I grow up, the more I feel like financial behavior that I think is normal. Like, hey, you use a credit card and you pay it straight away. Don't buy anything that you can't afford.
My credit card is like a direct debit, so
Yeah.
I don't even have to pay it. Like my bank automatically does
Yeah,
it.
the more I grow up, the more I've realized, there is a lot of people who just does not have those same financial like lessons drilled into them, because there are an uncomfortable amount of adults that I know that just spend money and don't really think about the consequence of it.
Yeah.
And I've like, as someone who's always thought about it, when you know, especially when I was in fucking university or whatever, I've met some people, a lot of people my age. I remember one guy in university. He got a student loan and then he used the loan money to go on holiday. to go on a holiday.
Why would you do that?
And I was just like, what? How are you doing this? Why would you do that?
I think because there's some people are just so short-sighted where they just say, oh, I just got a lump sum of cash. Well, I'm rich now.
Rich baby.
Rich baby.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah.
So life advice, please think, you don't have to think 10 years ahead, but just be responsible with your money. And if you need financial advice, don't go on to fucking TikTok.
Pay off your fucking credit card.
Pay off your credit card, consult a professional.
Get a credit card to build up your credit, but just pay off your credit card.
As Pete says, we pay in full.
Pay in full, exactly.
Pay in full.